But we're back with some more One Piece hate. Now, I'm not gonna hold you, it's been a minute since I covered Peak Fiction. You see, I took a break and ended up going a month without covering One Piece. But hey, on the bright side, the longer you wait, the longer the video. You feel me? Now, I'm covering episodes 1131, 1132, and 1133. And after watching these episodes, I can confidently say that Kuma is the last pacifist you ever want to piss off. I'm telling you, bro's on time and a straight certified crash out for all valid reasons. And yeah, with that being said, grab your golden Oreos and pink lemonade. Them shits fire. Now with the heat. So 8 years later, after the God Valley incident, we see Kuma repelling pain from the townspeople's bodies. When suddenly Jenny pulls up telling them niggas to slide cause Kuma is in a walking hospital. And I'm not gonna hold you, Jenny bad as hell. And after the townspeople took their leave, this is where shit starts to get crazy. As Jenny's outside torn apart cause Kuma's inside staring down all the pain he repelled out the townspeople's body as he plans on taking in all that pain. So he got started and bro got the tweaking as blood started pouring out his face. Meanwhile, Jenny's outside crying over what he's doing. That nigga Kuma even had the house jumping. That's how you know shit was getting wicked. Mind you, bro does this every week, which is insane. And once Kuma finished absorbing all the pain, Jenny takes care of him. And after that, they ate lunch and started chatting. 5 years later, Jenny asked Kuma to marry her, but Kuma declines. Cause he don't want to be in the same situation his dad was in back then. So he changed the subject, then someone arrived at his door. So he went to see who it is. Meanwhile, Jenny's in the back lost for words. So some townspeople deliver some fish and Jenny throws a bucket at Kuma cause she's upset. Now years pass and Kuma pulled up to the Sorbet Kingdom. Cause niggas was on bullshit as the soldiers were taking the townspeople to make them slaves. Which Kuma peeped, and with seeing that old man pass out, Kuma got active in a heartbeat and started spamming pad cannons at all them niggas, sending them flying backwards. But even with seeing that, the other soldiers weren't convinced that Kuma was like that. So he unleashed the Ursa Shock Spirit Bomb on their ass. And you could just tell how pissed Kuma is. Cause look at the veins popping out of bro's neck and head. Then it pans over to this slimy nigga of a king who just be bouncing on the Celestial's dick. He wanna be like them so bad. So he's talking about how he's cutting off the south so that the kingdom of the north can become rich. And Kuma, to my surprise, ended up getting caught. Mind you, he towers over all them niggas, so them niggas capturing him is crazy. But yeah, Jenny and the gang is locked up as well, so Kuma's like, why are you here? Which he lets him know that they got in the field for him. Hey, Jenny's a real ride or die, you gotta love her. And they tough as hell cause they ain't even stressing. But Kuma's pissed at the king's actions, which Jenny lets Kuma know that this policy was put into the king's head from above. So if they want to rebel against the country, they must first be determined to fight the world government. Then suddenly the revolutionary army pulled up raiding the kingdom, taking out the soldiers and confronts the king and stop the slave policy. So Dragon and Ivankov goes to free Kuma, Jenny, and the gang, which Kuma and Jenny then join the revolutionary army. But this is where shit starts to hit the fan once again. Like every time this man Kuma finds happiness, more bullshit occurs. So Jenny has been abducted and Kuma wasn't playing behind Jenny, he was ready to make niggas feel pain. Meanwhile, the rebels were getting outnumbered at Tomi Island in the South Blue. So he went out to aid the rebels solo dolo. And upon arriving on Tomi Island, he started going in on all the soldiers, smacking niggas like flies. Then uses Ursa Shock to clear the rest up. And once he was done aiding his allies, officially liberating the oppressed people, Kuma heads out. Now you gotta hand it to him. Even after hearing the bad news with Jenny, he still prioritized his duties in ending the war that has been going on for several years. But yeah, 2 years passed since Jenny was kidnapped to be a celestial dragon's wife. And we see Jenny out at sea with her baby Bonnie. And after arriving back home, she contacted Kuma and the gang saying her goodbyes, as she's currently dying from a disease, which Kuma wasted no time sliding to save her. And Jenny tells Dragon and Ivankov to watch over Kuma as he is too kind. Then lets Kuma know that she loves him before collapsing. So Kuma arrived and an elderly lady told him that Jenny said when exposed to natural light, her skin would turn blue and hard like stone. And as Kuma's tearing up from the loss of Jenny, he sees Jenny's daughter Bonnie, who Jenny risked her life for to ensure her baby lives. And Kuma, without a second thought, takes care of Bonnie. So Kuma's now at home with Bonnie doing his dadly deeds. As time passed, Bonnie takes her first few steps. More time passed as we see them being a happy family. Not gonna lie, sleeping in a cage is crazy. But for good reason, which is to prevent him from squishing her. But then was laid comfortably in the bed as Kuma's out getting active in the field. Now Kuma's back at the crib as Bonnie runs to him, giving him a hug, and goddamn, Bonnie got hops for real. So the next morning, Kuma was boarding up the windows to prevent any exposure to sunlight, as he seen that Bonnie has the same stone growing from her skin as Jenny had. Which after showing some friends, they went to get doctors to inspect it, but the doctors had no clue what it was. So Kuma pulls up to the revolutionary base, letting them know that he quit, as Bonnie has the same disease as her mother, so he wants to focus on Bonnie. And Dragon being a W-Mans lets Kuma know that he'll ask doctors across the world about Bonnie's condition. Time passed and we see Bonnie at the age of 5 already on demon time and having 3 boys run from her, which bro in the middle started talking head, so she boot the mess out of bro. But Kuma pulls up telling her to not go outside. Even being at the door makes him wince, which she understands as she doesn't want to make Kuma sad, had that man Kuma crying tears of joy. But Bonnie's still heated at the boys for making fun of the stones on her face. So Kuma cheered her up by letting her know that they want them stones because they're beautiful. Now night hits and Bonnie Bonnie opens up the Bible informing Kuma on Sky Island, stating that it's closer to the sun, therefore maybe Nika will be there. Kuma had to think for a minute before realizing who Bonnie was referring to, and he started hitting that Nika dance. Which props to Kuma, cause he had dads all around the world hitting that shit. Talk about an impactful backstory. What other anime is doing this? So after that, Kuma was outside with a doctor who lets him know that the disease Bonnie has is called sapphire scales, and started going into more detail on the disease. Then breaks the bad news to Kuma, stating that Bonnie won't survive her 10th birthday, and as for now there's no known cure for her disease. So Kuma walks back inside depressed as hell. Then suddenly Bonnie jump scared Kuma, telling him that she heard someone say 10 years old. So Kuma came up with a quick lie and told her that the doctor said that she wouldn't get well until her 10th birthday. Straight capping, but it was for the best. Bonnie's excited as hell, so she asks him once she gets better could she go on a trip with him, which Kuma's like of course. 1 year later, shit hits the fan once again as King Beckery was back on that bullshit claiming that he'll burn everyone who dragged down the country alive. Had Kuma heated. So you already know bro gonna stand 10 toes down. And after saving an elderly woman from the fire, he sees a little girl crying out for her mother, so he went back in to find her. Meanwhile, this lame ass nigga King Beckery was posted looking down on the burning town. Then one of his soldiers let him know that furious protesters gathered at the gate, which he told bro to shoot about 4 or 5 for the greater good. But the big man himself, Kuma, stepped on the scene furious as a bitch and charged at the soldiers. Meanwhile, poor Bonnie's witnessing the situation, worried about her dad, and one of the townspeople tell her to stay inside so that she won't be exposed to the moonlight. Meanwhile, Kuma confronted the king and bro slow as hell, offering him the area he burned down and states that he got rid of all the garbage. As pissed as you see bro is, you went and added fuel to the fire. So Kuma thinks about how he managed to get the little girl's mother out the fire, but sadly it was too late. Now Kuma's ready to boom some, and Beckery grabbed the gun and started dumping them rounds on Kuma, but that had no effect. So bro tried to talk no jutsu his way out of an ass whooping, but Kuma already had the Ursa shock ready for that ass, and he boomed his shit, completely destroying the castle. And I'm not gonna hold you, this incident being named the solo revolution of the Sorbet Kingdom is tough as hell. So Kuma has been made the new king and decided to remain living in the church, and we see Bonnie getting her exercise in, which Kuma mistaken her for Jenny until she pulled up calling him dad. Had niggas confused as hell. So Bonnie looked into the mirror seeing herself as an adult, which freaked her out to the point she reverted back to a kid, which everyone was surprised that she was Bonnie. So old head started looking in the book of devil fruits and assumed she ate the age fruit. Meanwhile, bro asked her to attempt to transform, but to no avail. With someone now knocking at the door, Kuma went to open it, and bro looked down, spotting a granny who he mistaken for Bonnie, talking about some damn she's full of wrinkles, and look at her face, she don't know how to feel. So the former king of 2 generations ago, Bulldog, who is an aide to Kuma, pulled up to the spot introducing himself to Bonnie. Meanwhile, bro in the back tweaking. So Bulldog had to let them know that that's his mother Connie, the former queen dowager. So they gave their sincerest apologies. Moments later, they see in the newspaper that Kuma has been labeled as an evil dictator who burned down the village and took the throne with violence, which was all due to Beckery. So Bulldog says that Beckery will be making his return for this country with warships, but Kuma's like, not on my watch, as he's gonna destroy every force that tries it, which will brand him as a criminal, therefore he won't be able to return to that country. So when that happens, Bulldog will take the throne, and Kuma tells Bulldog that he'll need him to shelter Bonnie, as the church will be in danger, which bro's like, I got you gang, I'll even recreate the environment for her. Then Kuma went to say his goodbyes, but ended up picking up the wrong person. Come on Kuma, lock in. And Connie still got that look of confusion on her face. Poor granny, she don't know what to do. So after Kuma let Bonnie know that he'll be going to stand on business protecting the country from afar, we see Kuma out at sea intercepting 3 marine ships, which was led by Beckery, and after spotting Kuma, he told the Navy to light them up. But Kuma jumped high in the air preparing an attack, had a marine hitting that white man looking up meme. Gotta love the reference. And with that, Kuma boomed all the ships and ended up being a wanted criminal. Meanwhile, Bonnie's at home wanting to see her dad again. So Kuma's out traveling to get info on the disease, but no matter where he went, no one had the answer to solve his problem. So after taking a nap, Kuma wakes up to see the revolutionary and join them for a drink, as Betty asks him to make her captain of the Eastern Forces. But bro's like, why you asking me? Which she lets Kuma know that Dragon told her it's vacant in honor of Jenny. So Kuma made Betty captain. Now she's excited as hell, relaying the good news to the crew. Then Kuma and Dragon got the chatting, which he asked Kuma if he know Dr. Vegapunk, the Navy scientist, which bro's like, yeah. So Dragon lets him know that Dr. Vegapunk is going to move to a new lab due to an accident the other day, and that he's usually a hard person to meet, but right now security is evidently lax. Kuma's in shock and asks Dragon if Vegapunk can cure Bonnie, which he's like, maybe. And Dragon lets Kuma know that though he's an odd man, he's driven by his desires and is trustworthy. And with that, Kuma thanked him, letting him know that he'll visit Vegapunk and that if Bonnie gets better, he wants to fight with him again. So Dragon's like, let the winds of fate carry us where they will, my friend. Not gonna lie, that's an Uncle Iroh type bar. That was kinda tough. But yeah, Kuma heads back home and sees that Bonnie had a grown man dropped on the floor after beating him up. Nah, bro is cooked if word gets out that he got folded by a little girl. So Kuma asks Bonnie how she's been, which she lets him know that she's been building up stamina every day and that she can go out to sea any day. Which Kuma's like, I bet, let's go out to sea. And with that, they make it to the Navy science group known as Laboratory 8, which is later known as Egghead. So they're now in the lab, and this man Vegapunk got a lot of explaining to do, cause all that filling he's doing is crazy work. And Vegapunk asks Kuma if he can study his muscles. Now Bonnie opens up the barrel seeing Vegapunk and immediately got to talking about his head. Then Vegapunk looks at Bonnie's face and knows exactly what the disease is. So Kuma asks Vegapunk what does he think, which he lets Kuma know that it's curable. Got them excited as hell. And with that, Vegapunk got the prepping and lets Kuma know that it requires a lot of time and money like creating a cyborg. And as Vegapunk's looking at the paper, he's in shock to find out that Kuma's a buccaneer. So he lets Kuma know that he's on the government side. But Kuma's like, I trust Dragon and what makes my blood so different from others? But Vegapunk's like, he don't have enough samples to explain that in detail. Then starts mentioning how he's been looking for the right person to be the base for his clone soldiers. And made a bargain with Kuma telling him to donate his blood and give him permission to create clone soldiers. Then he won't have to pay the immense cost of Bonnie's procedure, as he presumes Kuma don't have money. And Kuma's a W dad, letting Vegapunk know that he was locked in either way. Declining was never an option to begin with. Which he then asks if there will be soldiers that look like him working for the Navy. Vegapunk's like, that's the idea. And starts going in on how they'll use his overwhelming scientific power to take down pirates. And that the sturdy body of his soldiers will act as a shield to repel bullets and save the weak, making them heroes. So Kuma lets Vegapunk know what Dragon said about him being an odd man driven by his desires and being trustworthy. And Kuma starts looking at his hand, stating that if a clone soldier in his likeliness saved someone's life one day, then maybe being born wasn't for nothing. So Vegapunk lets Kuma know that Dragon will be furious about these terms. But Kuma has nothing but gratitude for both Dragon and Vegapunk. And that as long as Bonnie survives, he wouldn't care if Vegapunk was the devil. Bonnie getting saved is what's important. Then we see Saint Saturn, who says that Vegapunk don't know how to make the most of opportunities and that he has an idea. Meanwhile, Vegapunk calls Kuma a saint. But Kuma's like, I'm just a timid pacifist who wants peace. Vegapunk's like, I like that. And lets Kuma know that he'll use his name for the warriors of the future. And yeah, those One Piece episodes 1131, 1132, and 1133 in all its greatness. You already know these episodes are absolutely pure heat. A solid 10 out of 10 for me, cause One Piece never miss. Now, with that being said, if you made it this far, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. We moving. Also, I'm taking recommendations, bro, so hit the comments. And more heat on the way.